Samrat. We look at alike. A lot of people
Yeah, I looked it up when I got
Dr.
home.
Das, Dr.
Say it one
Das.
more time.
Samrat.
Some.
Yeah.
Okay, got
এই
it. I'll try to
টেবিলটা
do it.
টেবিলটা টেবিলটা এখানে থাকবে
Oh, লাগবে?
বলে ভালোই
Sorry. ঠিক আছে?
All attention to here now. Ushaji, if you lead the whole congregation to talk among yourself, because you are the leader,
No, we are never do that.
everybody will learn from you.
No,
Actually.
we are never do that, Swami.
Yes.
You can start now.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahavyam Karvavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Om, may Brahman protect us, may he guide us, may he give us strength and right understanding, may love and harmony be with us all. Om, peace, peace, peace be with us. This is ঘড়িটা একটু তুলে দিন আমার কাছে ওইখানে একটা ঘড়ি আছে দেওয়া তো this is our second day and last day for me here, and again I thank you for being gracious enough to invite me to be with you again. I always love to come back here ever since I was visiting this beautiful city with Swami Sahananji Maharaj decades back, and been a part of this very religious and highly motivated group of devotees in its journey from that time when there was no physical existence of the center like this to the present state. And I am sure that in course of time it will see much more greater days in future. So today our talk is about our spiritual goal. This is the title. So what is the spiritual goal? How do we define the spiritual goal? Because there are so many different kind of ideas and talks there. From the Vedanta perspective and the very ancient religion of Sanatan Dharma perspective, even there are so many different kind of ideals are put forward as the spiritual goal, beginning from self-realization to the realization of or the knowledge of Brahman, Brahma Jnana, to the vision of God in many different forms, to the idea of the uniting the Jivatman with Paramatman, as the yogi says in the Yoga Sutra, that is the goal, to unite Jivatman with Paramatman. As Yoga Sutra says, that when that is happening, then tada drashtu swarupi avasthana. That is the goal. liberation. People say liberation. Many different ideas are floated. Liberation of the soul is one of them. So all these ideas that are mentioned by many different religious schools, that is the ultimate goal of our spiritual journey, they eventually become a means. Each of them is a means. It is a mean. As Sri Ramakrishna mentions in the Gospel, that there are many different ways and means to reach the rooftop. You can reach the rooftop by many different ways. Goal is to reach the rooftop. You can call it by so many different ways, but they are only the means. Brahma Jnana, Atma Swarupa, knowledge, realization of non-dual self, or vision of the divine in this form, that form, many different things, or the cessation of this continuity of the chain of many, many births, cycle of birth, and all these things, or destruction and complete annihilation of the baggage of karma that everybody is carrying with him or her, etc. Whatever we say, they are the different ways of talking about the means, and that means they all lead to one particular thing, which is eventually end up in at the rooftop. So rooftop is something which cannot be defined, and which cannot be fully explained. And that has been even considered by or accepted by Upanishad. They say, Yatha vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. Where the mind and the speech, and speech means all the other senses, they come to a complete halt and cannot go there, cannot reach there, and therefore, if they cannot go there, then how it will be explained? Because anything explained or anything known is about the function of our mind and this speech, whether the speech is articulated or not. But it is about how we are thinking about it, what is the opinion, ideas formed, and how we are expressing it. That is what we call our understanding, knowledge. So the supreme truth is beyond our reach. This is according to Upanishad. In many different portions of many different Upanishads, they have said the same thing, that we cannot say this, neither this nor that. We cannot say it is asti or existing, or we cannot say it is nasti, it doesn't exist. It is something which we cannot say what it is. But that doesn't mean that so we are following the path of agnosticism, that it is not knowable or doubtful what it is. Remains always beyond anybody's knowledge. No, it is within the realm of our ability to reach the goal, but it cannot be fully and clearly described. It cannot be explained. That is, the supreme goal is like that. It is not like it is nothing, shunya, like many Shunyavadi Buddhists philosophies, they say that, okay, just like burning a camphor, and it keeps burning, 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 your body, mind, senses, everything is negated, and it is not, it is not, it is not. And then at the end, just like the camphor, everything is gone and nothing remains. That is the nirvana. That means your existence comes to a close, end, cessation of the continuity of birth and death, different life cycles, they come to an end, that is nirvana. So then what remains? Nothing remains. Simply your life cycle ends. That is nirvana. That is not what the Upanishad says. Upanishad says it is not something negative or darkness. Everything comes to an end and nothing is there, absolute pitch dark, blank, empty space. It is not. It is blissful. It is absolute joy and bliss and wisdom and eternity of existence. It is not cessation of existence. It is about reaching where this wavy nature of existence comes to a very standstill and peaceful, and it is calm and it is joyous. And therefore, it is reflected, the reflection of that supreme truth, which has been mentioned also in the terms of Satchit Ananda, eternal existence, eternal knowledge, and eternal bliss. That has been a kind of a nearest to the explanation of what it is. That is reflected in the form of individual soul. The individual soul or human soul or any other creature. The soul is a reflection of that which is of the kind of existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute. Why I am saying so, or Upanishad says so? Because everybody is unknowingly in search of that, as if they have got a hint always there that there is a hope to get to that. Get that what? Get what? Existence. Get existence. Eternal existence. What? What is the meaning of that? That we have got a hope of getting one day reach eternal existence. Nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to continue to live on and on and on and on. Even the person who is in endemic illness, battling serious some trouble, problem in the hospital bed, is not actually wants to die, wants to survive, wants to continue. Though everybody says so, that, oh, every man is immortal and this and that. People say so. But it is the only our verbal saying. Actually, deep inherent in us is how we can survive. Oh, there is a pandemic there. Okay, stay home. Don't go out. Okay, don't allow anybody to come in. Are you putting on mask on yourself, etc., etc.? Why is so much fear? Because we don't want to die. Nobody wants to die. So there is some hope of our surviving and continuing on and on and on. This is the reflection of that truth that we actually are finding somewhere something that says that you are that material from inside. which will continue to exist forever, for eternity. Similarly, for eternal wisdom and eternal bliss, that is reflected in how we feel and behave. ওইখানে একটা ভারী কিছু দিয়ে দিন, তাহলেই ওটা ঠিক হয়ে যাবে। This thing has been devised or figured out by great spiritual teachers. In fact, the Vedic religion says that no ordinary person can devise anything. It is God who himself is our teacher, and therefore who has to come down and who has to occasionally, from time to time, tell us, okay, follow me, this is the way to go. And I will tell you how you can cross this very dense forest which appears absolutely impossible to cross this forest. It is dark and it is dangerous and there is no pathway there, and there comes somebody who comes from time to time. In Sanatan Dharma they are accepted as God incarnated in human body. God incarnate, the Avatara Purusha. And there is no such hard and fast rule where he will come. He can come and be born in Jerusalem, or he can come in Mathura, or he can be born in Kamarpukur or Lumbini. Nobody knows. He can come, it is his own free will. But when he comes, he doesn't have to propagate or promote through social media or any other way. People, they come to know about him. That someone has come, and and his attraction, his charm is very powerful. It is a magnetic attraction, and they start following him. Ordinary people, they are not asking anything from him. They are not asking. So why they are following him? Because they figure out that he is showing us the way to reach the goal that we unknowingly, everybody is seeking. Everybody in their life, they seek only how to be happier, how to live longer, how to be more wise. And Satchidananda, everybody is seeking, searching, even the ordinary creatures. They are also in search of that, just they don't know. And they keep going, and the game of this continuity of life from birth after birth of the Jivatman, it goes on and on and on. But when they come to know about it in the human birth, they come to know about it that actually we are searching that supreme goal which will bring to our lives all this troublesome journey to an end. When they learn this and then they enter into certain system, then these people are called spiritually oriented people. They are religious minded people and they are following a particular path. And what path? That are the great ones. They come to us and they show us. In India, there was the great tradition of democracy in religious practices. Rest of the world, they talk so much about, we had a democratic system of governance, etc., etc. But religious practices were absolutely undemocratic, authoritarian, dictatorship. Everybody has to follow this or gone. You are a goner. Follow. Either you accept it, follow us, or we are going to kill you, or worse still, we will torture you, burn at stake, and all sorts of we shall do. So there is no democratic mostly was available to those so-called major religious systems all over the world. But India was very fortunate that they had, though there were kings and there were rulers and there were feudal societies and all these things, and many of the kings were very, very noble kings. But the best of all was the religion was absolutely open and democratic form of religious belief system. You do your practice, you believe whatever you. If I don't believe what you believe in, so let us sit down and why not we argue just like in a very civilized fashion and talk about it. Let us see why you believe that and why I think that is not the right direction. Let us talk about it. Like intelligent people, they sit around a coffee table and while having a good cup of coffee and snacks, they discuss many different things, their political differences or economic ways, how this country is not going the right direction. They can discuss things, and there is nothing wrong about it if your opinion doesn't exactly match with mine. So that was the way religion was practiced for many, many thousand years in India, and when that happens, then the effect is how we see the development of science and technology. Because science and technology has grown because of that. There is a freedom of your thinking. If you don't exactly believe in how we should do the particular line of research so that we can one day have a reign over the cancerous cells, if you do your way and I don't agree with that, I do my way, we are not going to kill each other. There is no problem. You try, what a big deal. Let us see if you could discover the magic pill. If you can discover, let us see if you can. But I am trying differently. So that is why the science developed so rapidly after they freed themselves, scientists, from the clutches of the church. This is the same thing because the science of discovering what is the way, what is the spiritual goal, and how to move forward to achieve that goal was that kind of a free experiment and free practice available in India. So science of spiritualism or the religious science, they developed in a wonderful, wonderful way. And they not only developed, they developed in manifold ways. As God is limitless, the supreme truth is boundless. There is no limitation to that. Similarly, the approach roads to reach Him are also many. Just like that truth is limitless, it is not bounded by one particular wall. Outside the wall, the truth doesn't exist. It is, you cannot, then that truth cannot be defined as all pervading, omnipresent. You cannot say it if it is limited and restricted. Similarly, the way to reach there are also limitless. But out of those limitless ways, some of them have been clearly figured out and analyzed and explained, and we call them philosophical schools. Because the explanation is the philosophy. You don't have to go through the philosophy and just jump into the action, that is fine. Because religion is mostly about our emotion emotion is the main fuel that will drive your engine of moving forward in the path of spirituality and going towards your goal. There are three different factors in every human being: willing, feeling, acting. I'm wrong. Thinking, feeling, and willing. This willing is about the action. So we can think, we can feel, and we can will. We can just think and feel, but stay in your armchair watching the soap opera TV. That is possible. You can think and you can feel something, but do nothing. Because the will portion is not activated. But when the will is strong and vibrant, then you cannot sit down and you have to get to your feet and start walking. So religion is also like that. There is intellectual understanding. Does God really exist? What is the proof? And could anybody show there is a God, etc., etc. All sorts of talks and all sorts of understanding and arguments and counter arguments and all sorts of things. And somebody says, yes, sure, why not? I'll prove you. And some other will say that there is no need of this kind of proof. Proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
So I had one of my talks in my summer retreat camp. I said, okay, my talk will be proof is in the pudding. So
that's what Swami Vivekananda is.
yeah. Proof is in the pudding means, what proof? Look at Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Vivekananda, look at them, and do you believe that they are ordinary people? Do you think that they are ordinary people? How do you get? They are superhuman beings. And what superhuman, not because they are showing magic, magic tricks, or they can actually the superstar basketball player can throw the ball from such a distance into the basket. No, not that kind of superhuman. In the world of our spiritual wonder, there they are superstars, superhuman beings. What they are showing through their example, their life and all these things, then you come to believe. So there is no philosophy there. It is only example is enough, you say. Then you accept whatever they are asking you to do, or say that this is for your good that I am saying. I am not asking anything in return. But this concept of this aspect of this, that there is the possibility of people coming to understand certain things intellectually also and coming to a conclusion intellectually. This portion is known as the philosophy. So each and every religion, that philosophy eventually degenerates into doctrines and dogmas, and then many different conflicts between different religious groups, but that is a degeneration. Before the degeneration, there is a philosophical thinking possible, and that should be very, very welcome, because it is like a very strong building. Inside you can safely survive. It is like very strong walls and floor and the roof and everything, and doors and windows, how the lights come in, and the structure is very nicely made. And that is the philosophy. So philosophy is one, and then the feeling part is there. How you feel about it. That is your love and developing the love portion of it for the goal of life. That becomes a very powerful fuel for a devotee to move forward. If there is no love, is like attraction or attachment to something. And in any stage of life, the joy is possible if you are in love of something. You are in love of a scientific inquiry, or in a love of your neighbors and the society, or you want to do something, or you are in love with the nature and you want to do something, then you can draw joy from there. And that joy, when it is also applied in the willpower, you say, I can do it. It appears that here such and such fruit doesn't, that tree cannot grow here, but I think I have found out a way to get it done even here. Let me try, get it done. Let me do something. So that is intellectual, your love for that thing, and then your will to get into what. Spiritual life is also like that. You have to intellectually come to a conclusion that this is this. But you have to come to one conclusion. In the modern days, we can see, everybody sees that people, they are doing like wine tasting.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are given a tour. You have a package tour of Italy, and taken to this and that places, and you will be doing wine tasting. Now, spiritual life cannot grow if you are doing that tour. No, you cannot. Someday you are doing this kind of meditation, some day you are doing that kind of retreat, someday you are doing that kind of worship and dancing and singing. No, you are going nowhere. You might say, no, I am enjoying. You can. People can enjoy their life even without living any spiritual practice. It will be one more life gone in that kind of enjoyment, but you are not headed towards anywhere. Just like you want to go a long distance and you have taken a car and you are driving and driving. You don't want to go and stop the car and then think about, okay, can I have a different, let me try how this Greyhound bus goes. Huh? And then you go some distance, no, let me try if there is a train station somewhere and you do. Now, this way, you are not really sincere about what you want and where you want to go.
It means you are not focused.
You are not focused, you are not actually serious about it. So religion is about a goal to reach, and a person has to be serious about it. And then that seriousness will be reflected in the form of will for you to drag you very nicely towards one particular direction, but that will come only when you fall in love with something. Until you have fallen in love, whether it is a person or any worldly object or God. If you are not in love with anything, then you are not really walking with a purpose or mission towards any direction. So that is about your emotional factor.
Would
Feeling.
you call that a discipline, Swamiji?
No, we call it feeling. Discipline is about after you have known the intellectually devised reason why you are here. So that is the thinking aspect of it. Thinking. So thinking is one aspect, feeling is one other aspect, and then willing is another aspect. All three together, if we add, join hands, then you are moving in a very nice way. There are different kind of schools of philosophy, as I in the very beginning mentioned that our spiritual goal are defined in many different ways or described. God realization, self-realization, knowledge of Brahman, yeah, etc., etc. Many different. Moksha, liberation of the soul, etc. Nirvana, many different ways the things are defined in the union of the Jivatman with this Paramatman. Different ways they have been defined, but you have to have a clarity in one of these because they are numerous and each of these paths have got very detailed way of explaining things. You have to come to a conclusion to some extent in one particular path. And when you have come to a conclusion, then you have started liking it. You love it. And then you have started applying the system or discipline or the method in your own life. And you keep going, keep going, keep going. That is the way to reach the ultimate goal. In the Vedanta, ultimate goal is not about reaching heaven. Heaven is not the goal. Heaven is a imagination of extension of our this worldly existence in our imagination. And so if we can imagine, it is our imagination, why not make it nice and beautiful? Everything that could be best.
That's heaven.
When you are buying a ticket, lottery ticket, then why not imagine that you are going to win that multi-billion dollar? Why imagine that if 4 numbers tally, then I get $5,000? No. If you are imagining, it is about imagination. If you are buying a lottery ticket and you are told that if you buy this ticket, you can go to heaven. What is heaven? Oh, heaven is that you can get $1 billion prize. Oh, that is great. So heaven is that which in Upanishadic religion, the religion of Vedanta, they say that heaven is not, even if heaven is real, the description of heaven tells us that it is not desirable. It is not desirable because it is not perfect. Why not perfect? Because it is impermanent. It is impermanent. It is not that it is forever, it will stay like that. You don't know. Why are you getting to heaven? Because you have done very good things. Your deeds here on earth have been good. You have been righteous person. You have done exactly what the temple or the church or the mosque or the synagogue has told you to do. You don't go here, you go there, you don't do that, you do this, etc. Whatever you have been told, you have followed them. So you should be rewarded, and reward is go to heaven. That heaven is a 7-day European deluxe package. After 7 days, what? No, after 7 days you return back here. Can I not stay there in that deluxe package forever? No, because you have achieved heaven in exchange of your limited amount of deeds. In your one lifetime, how much good deed you can do. So that limited amount of karma can give you a limited amount of karma phala, or the fruit of action. So you have done very good karma here, so you get very good result out there. But this karma is limited, that result is also limited. After that, you have to come back here. So this was very clear to that boy Nachiketa, that this is limited. I don't want your all these goodies, sir, because Yama said that why are you asking about the supreme truth of Atman? Why not you take these goodies? I can give you this. In the world, whatever is considered very good and very desirable, I give you that. Why don't you take them? He said that, sir, there are problems here. Why I don't take? Though he was a young boy, but he was very sharp, like a genius. Some boys, they born genius, they can clearly see through what is what. He said that, I'm not going to take your bait. You want to deviate me from my search for truth. Huh? You are trying to deviate me, derail me. I am not that stupid. Yama said, but why? He said that, all these good things, they are for a limited period of time. They come to a close, number one. Number two, what I think enjoyable today, tomorrow it will not be enjoyable, even for me. He said it in a different language. He said that the senses, our senses, because all the enjoyment they come through our senses, the senses, they become, their sharpness is gone. Like the sharp knife you use many different times. Then what happens that the knife is no more sharp. It becomes dull. And it cannot cut anymore nicely. Our senses are like that. So long as we have not found something, and we have been desiring and thinking and hoping and aspiring for it, so long as that is a really enjoyable thing. But the moment I have gotten it, and I have tasted it, tasted once, tasted twice, and then over. And then you bring a whole lot of that, a whole tray of fine pastries or freshly baked anything, pizza or anything which you liked so much. You thought that, can I get it really, really good, like made with like this and that, and they make really that thing, what you wanted. And so, here is, sir. Give it a try. And you ate the first bite. You say, oh, this is heaven. And then there's a second bite. Yeah, good, very good, nice, I like it. I always wanted to eat this. You have made the right thing. And there's a third bite. You say, okay, I'm full. No, sir, take more. Here is more. I have more in the oven. They are coming. Just keep eating, keep eating. He says, I am sorry. I cannot take any more. No, try one more bite. I cannot try. And you are forced to eat another bite. It will be trouble and pain and suffering. Anything that comes through our senses, these five senses and the king of senses, the mind, there is no such thing as limitless pleasure or happiness. We call pleasure as happiness. Anything pleasurable we call happy. Happiness, the supreme happiness, what is called in the Satchid Ananda, that Ananda factor or the bliss, that is not our pleasure. It is not pleasure. It is nothing to do with our sense pleasures and mental pleasures, that mentally we can think of something and be very pleased mentally. It is not. These are material things. These senses are made of material particles according to Vedic religion. Vaisheshika philosophy, they go into details of what is this particle that constitute these subtle elements in ourself, like the mind, the intellect, the senses, the vital force prana, the instrument with which we feel, we think, and all this. what is that basic material with which they are created. Because in this modern physical science, our science, modern science, natural science, they have not been found out yet, figured out. What is that makes the mind? They think that, oh no, there was a spark between this and that and something, life happened. And Vedic religion, in their very deep thinking and then in deep meditation, they have revealed the truth of it, and they are called, those basic materials are called Pancha Tattvas. Chiti, Apa, Tej, Muru, Vyom, Tanmatras. Those Tanmatras, they are in their elementary form, and those Tanmatras, they mixed up form. Two different levels of those 5 Tanmatras have been identified, and with those elementary form, they create our very subtle self, subtle body, the mind, the senses, the intellect, the many different things, which have not been yet discovered or verified by the natural science. They have not gone yet to that level, and it is doubtful whether it will be ever possible to go to that level. Why? Because this level of our discovery that is done, these are done with the instrument called our senses. These are the instruments. We magnify the senses by making many instruments. We see with electron telescope and microscope and this and that. And these are the magnification of already existing senses. What we can see with our naked eye, we have created another instrument that can see 10,000 times more, but still it is naked eye multiplied by 10,000. It is not something a different level or different thing. Similarly, smelling or touching or feeling, the 5 senses, they are only with the senses we are playing or exploring the nature of reality or truth, what it is. But with the tanmatra that the senses are created, according to this Vedic, one of the philosophies they went into details, and further all the other philosophies they took it as it is, Vaisheshika philosophy. They say that it is a much elementary level of particles which cannot be seen by or known by or tested by your senses, because senses are created out of that. So how the senses as the instrument can see it, it is the parent particle, and they are the child particle born of the parent. So the child cannot know about the birth and the story of the parents, had no idea. It cannot go to that detail. It has to only believe whatever parents will say, that actually we came from erstwhile Punjab, which is now in Pakistan. The child has to believe it. That's it. He cannot say that I can verify. Yes, I know. They can say I know, because it is born of that parent. Parents is when we were children, we were like this. They have to believe it. So therefore, the tanmatra level of the details, but can it not be known therefore? No, it can be known. Our Rishi says the truth of it can be known also. How do you know? You go beyond mind and beyond senses. How can you go beyond mind and beyond senses? In your deep samadhi you can. Because samadhi is about returning back from the outer level to inner level. That is how you proceed. You are in search of the deepest level of yourself, your true self. That Satchid Ananda, which is the Atman. your real self, which is the blissful, eternally existing, the full of wisdom self, and it is covered layer after layer after layer, and the outermost layer is your physical body, but inside this physical body is next layer, next layer, next layer. So there is layer of your five indriyas or the senses. There is a layer of mind space. Mind and intellect is, subtle intellect is there, and then there is a layer which is called the Anandamaya Kosha or the causal body. When a person reaches there, then he becomes full, he enjoys it so much, he doesn't want to come back from there to the earthly level of existence and move around. These layers are little bit tested and felt when we go into sleep. We go into sleep and we dream. In the dream world, we move around. That is the layer of our mental space, not the physical space. Mental space. It is a different layer, and there we return back when we sleep and we start dreaming. And at some point of time we stop dreaming, we go further deeper. But we really are blocked from going and seeing those deeper layers of Anandamaya Kosha by the very thick fog of ignorance, ajnana. Because we are not that purified ourselves so well, these tanmatras, each of them are made out of the three aspects called three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. If we want, then we can purify these materials from tamas and rajas and make it made of sattvic aspect of it. Then this layer of ignorance will drop off, and we can go and actually reach the place from where it will be a short distance to your real self, but it will be still a distance, and that is called Anandamaya Kosha, and you will have the blissful experience, the joy of being very close to God, or call it close to your true self. That is why people, the great spiritual teachers, they prescribe people go do meditation, try to calm down your mind, try to meditate of God in your heart and meditate on that and forget about the worldly sensitive images and worldly memories. They are telling that if you successfully can do that, then you will have the bliss of, or the joy of this vision of God, etc., etc. That is reaching the Anandamaya Kosha. When we go into deep sleep, when we are not in the mental level, we are roaming around, when we are not dreaming even, we go further deeper from the mental level, but we are blocked by the darkness of the tamas. The tamasic and rajasic quality in us, they block the vision. They don't allow us to see anything beyond. If we can live in our religious and spiritual life on the right track, follow one discipline, whichever discipline you have understood. For most of us, because of our love for Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother and Swamiji, we take their teachings and we try to live our life accordingly. Now this is walking on one track, trying to reach the goal, going one direction, not changing track now and then. Then what happens that throughout our life, as we are sincerely practicing our spiritual practices, or living our life virtuously, nice, clean, and religious life, we purify ourselves from inside. These tamasic and rajasic qualities, gunas, they slowly they go down, sattvic qualities improve, and then we have the ability to calm down our mind, and when we can go beyond our mind, enter into deeper layers of our mind, we can actually see that beauty and the light and have the joy and the peace of having the vision of the true self or God which is within our own self. So thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to talk to you. I will say a peace chant first, and then you shall be allowed to ask a couple of questions. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Yes, your question, please.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
So, the thing is, nobody wants to die. Okay, that's one thing. I think I'm talking about myself. The thing is, uncertainty, where will you go? What will happen? So that kind of thing, like, for example, for my husband, when sadhus came to know, the came to know, he's going to Thakur's Loka. He's going to Sri Ramakrishna Loka. Very good feeling. That makes me feel like it's a good place. So I don't want him to, be attracted to this place. But how do the trust, the faith does come, but then it wavers again.
Yeah, this is about our ordinary human life, that nobody wants to die, etc., etc., because of the fear.
Yes.
The fear are of couple of different kinds. One fear is, there is a pain and suffering at the time of death. Maybe this kind of fear is there, so people they want to avoid pain and suffering. Another fear is that this unknown thing, fear for unknown. You really don't know. So you think that this is my known world. I know these people and the situation and everything. How everything will be managed, I can handle it or manage it, control it. But what will happen when everything is beyond my control? If I am still existing in a different state, then I don't know what is going to happen. So this unknown thing, this unknown and questionable, doubtful, all sorts of things, that creates a kind of a fear. Now, this fear goes away by love of God. By love of God, practicing love of God. Yeah. And by seeing the example of great spiritual personalities. Therefore, for all religious people, it is a good practice to read every day some pages of holy biographies. Holy men, holy women, their biographies. Take one at a time, one book, and read a few pages, Their life, their example, they provide us so much of everything about our soul, about the path we should progress, and what are the different situations, how to overcome them, and how they had the very joyous transition from this life to when they had entered into another. So these examples, they give us beautiful support and solace. So we read about occasionally when great sadhus die, some descriptions also come sometimes. Details about what happened the previous day and the day that Swami has passed away or entered into Samadhi, from very detailed. And sometime it is also described that immediately after their passing away, the whole appearance of their face and the body changed. They are suffering from certain kind of illness and they are old and it was appearing like it is some kind of a fatigue and pain and all these things in their face. But after they passed away, it became all slack and everything blissful, like they have entered into a very joyous space. It is appearing from their face. So, and we read from the life stories of many, like Holy Mother. Holy Mother said that she entered into some Bhav Samadhi and she could see her body and she thought that I have to again go back there. I don't want to. I am so much blissful here. But then again she forcibly brought her back into the body because Sri Ramakrishna has asked her to stay and live for the sake of helping people. So he said, no, for the sake of these children, you have to continue. So she thought about and then she came back. We read about Raman Maharshi. Now Raman Maharshi as a young boy, he had, without doing many spiritual practices, because he had come with a huge baggage of many lifetime of deep spiritual practices. So as a young boy, he was very sick, very ill, very high fever running and all those in the olden days. Raman Maharshi was living till April 1950. So many people, just the other day, they have gone to see him. And he, in that fever, when he was externally unconscious, there was no sign of consciousness, and his family members were very sad and worried that, oh, the boy is dying perhaps. And they had called the doctors and everybody trying their best, whatever they could do. He was living with his maternal uncle. And then he, as a soul, was out of his body even. And he could see from there that his body is lying there and people are surrounding this body, his family, and some doctors and well-wishers, and they are very worried and they are trying very hard to revive this body. He could see from outside the body. Stayed like that for a while. And then slowly he again entered into that body, and then he opened his eyes. And after his that experience, without the doctors and Ayurvedic doctor Kaviraj, they were trying very hard. Without those medication, he was very quickly, he became all right. He never forgot after that the experience that he had, that I am not this body. Body is there, I could see that this body is there. Now, all these stories, these are not stories, these are life experiences. When we read them, that gives us so much of support and release from the fear of death. But we should be afraid that now we are religious minded, but what will happen if after death again we are given another life and say, okay, start from there. And there we are forgetful and we don't remember God or religion, we become very worldly minded, what will happen? We keep going like that. This only we have to be fearful about. We need not be fearful about death. Next question, if anybody has. Yes,
It's absolutely fascinating your talk today.
Yeah.
thank you.
And I got so many thoughts, and I might not be even coherent asking you the question. I like you said that, that heaven only can take so many people. After that, they'll have to leave because there's no space there, whatever, you understand?
Right.
So, but I have never heard that before. What are the other religions, the other religions?
Like Jewish.
Anybody, sort of Muslim, Jewish, Christian, how do they interpret it? Vedanta said you have to come back. You can't stay there forever because it is a limited amount.
There is this situation that most of these religions, which are very dogmatic in their talking
And
and
my
thinking,
question was not to provoke anything,
No, no.
but just to have a philosophical understanding.
that is what they think.
Yeah.
They actually don't allow you to go beyond some level in asking any question. So therefore you stop at some point and they said don't ask any more questions, just believe it. This is in the book and therefore you believe it. And if you say no, I don't believe, I have more questions, then they will say okay,
Go to another.
thank you.
I see. Hence you spread it on the edge of sword.
Yeah. So there the questioning is not possible, and that's why they can say, okay, there is a heaven, and you stay there forever, and life is just one life, and etc. etc. And if you ask them question, let me ask you some question logically, how it makes sense, etc. They said, don't ask questions. So rational and logical conclusion, these conclusions can be drawn only in the Advaita Vedanta, where the rational thinking is unlimited. You keep asking questions and then answer something and find a problem there, ask another question. This is welcome. It is not only that you will be stopped somewhere, so that now head cut off, but they will say, you are welcome, ask more questions. And Shankaracharya, of all the great intellectual powers that the world has seen, and the promoter of non-dual Vedanta as the supreme philosophical thought, he himself said that all that explanations and all these arguments that he is giving, this is not the proof that this Atman is the supreme non-dual Brahman is. This is not the proof. He says that if I say that these reasoning and these arguments, this is the final proof that non-dual Atman Brahman union, one without a second, is the supreme truth, and I have proven it, then a more intelligent and more rational minded thinking mind will come one day and he will explain that what are the flaws in my thinking, he said. He said that only by thinking and explaining intellectually and cross-argumentation, there is no end to that. And therefore, this is not the proof. This is not the proof that non-dual, one without a second, Satchidananda, is the ultimate reality. This is not the proof because we have explained it. Then what is the proof? Proof is you realize it yourself.
Yeah.
Proof is the proof they call your self-knowledge. When you know it, you know it. And that knowledge is not a ordinary knowledge. It is not a knowledge that you arrive at philosophical argument. You become one with it, and therefore you are not seeing it from outside. Because all your knowledge, when you are your arguments and logics and your rational thinking is proving, then that proof is an objective proof. You are subject and the proof is your object. You are proving it with argument. Supreme truth of non-dual is not an object. It is not an object. It is the eternal subject and the only subject. So you merge into that, and from inside you know what it is. You don't know actually. How could you know? Because your separate identity has disappeared. You have melted into it. So this has been given with that wonderful illustration example by Sri Ramakrishna. He says that the salt doll
Yeah.
went to fathom the ocean. How deep is the ocean? Let me go there and figure it out. As soon as he started melting into it, and he melted into the ocean and became one with the ocean. So human mind is a salt doll. Salt doll is many ways it is a wonderful example. Salt is created from the ocean water.
Yeah.
It is, the source is ocean. From there the salt has come out. From that salt a figure has been created. It is a salt doll. And with the size of the salt doll, you are trying to measure the ocean. Number one, ocean is immeasurable depth in comparison to that salt doll. So human intellect is no match to fathom the meaning and the depth and the reality of the supreme truth. This is one example, one part of the example. Another part is that the source is that non-dual truth from where everything has emerged, and the phenomenal created universe is from there, and it will again eventually be merged into there. So the salt doll, which is sourced from there, will go into that. This is second level of meaning there. And third one is, if more you want to go and try to measure it, more you get melted, and eventually you get completely dissolved into it.
Completely.
So the knowledge of non-dual self, or knowledge of self-realization, or knowledge of Brahma Jnana, it is like that. You become merged into it, and that is your knowledge. It is not that you can come out and say, hey, I have figured out, this is the depth of that ocean. No, you become that. That is your knowledge.
I have one more question. I hope we don't mind that I'm asking. I'm not sure. You said something. You said something about democracy enhances scientific discoveries, and which is true. But also, totalitarian regime can sometimes do that. But that's not my point. My point is, you may know the Oppenheimer is very much on news these days because there's a movie made on him. And he split the atom, and he saw the power of that. And they dropped it in Japan. 200,000 people died, and it took the asylum on Gita. Just when Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, you have to go to war against the evil. And that's the way he said, I forgot the slok he said from Gita. And which is in turn, we are the Western power, we are the Arjun, and Japanese are
Evil.
evil. That's how he take the refuge.
Narrative is like that.
He's take the refuge in Gita. I am something here. I wish I could remember. And that struck me. Listen, would you consider that abuse of Gita?
I am not aware of anything, but I don't know, and there is abuse or maybe, or whatever. I have nothing here to talk about it because I don't know what is the movie, how he said, what he said.
He said that.
Yeah.
And
But in Bhagavad Gita, I am not comparing Bhagavad Gita with what atom bomb is and when atom bomb killed many people, etc. I am not comparing. Bhagavad Gita says about the impermanence of this created universe, and there people will come and go and they will live and they will die and all these things, and things will happen in course of its own law. No? The law will play its own game, but individual soul, how they handle their life, and their life means what is the awareness is about. It is all about your awareness. The individual person can work the same work with one awareness or another awareness.
Very good point.
For example, I give you one example. We have in the Ramakrishna mission many monks who are actually doctors, engineers, and university master's degree holders in different subjects, and they do their field of work. If our organization thinks like that, then they put them in that kind of. So and there are many hospital centers are there, and there these monks, several of them, not necessarily everybody, several of them, they have been, after a few years of their living and a brahmachari here, there in this ashram, that, then they are returned back to a hospital center and they are working as actually practicing doctor kind of thing. They're supervising also some ward or something.
As a sadhu.
He's a sadhu.
Yeah.
He's in charge of this section or that department, and there are other doctors also there. Now, think of these two persons. One is a monk, he is a doctor, another is another very good doctor. He comes from his home, he has got his own family and all this. Now both of them, they are doing apparently same work, similar kind of work. They go around the ward and they check the patients and they are trying in their best possible ways to understand the situation and prescribe them the right treatment and everything to cure these patients. The doctor, he comes there because he is an employee and he needs to do his job properly so that he gets a good reputation as a very fine doctor in this particular section, and eventually he wants to become so and so or open his own nursing home or do something. He wants to be big and famous and earn more and wealthy and successful in the worldly way. And here is a Swami. He is also a very good doctor and he is doing perfectly with all his attention and focus and all these things, and he also does the same job, but it is not because he wants to get a promotion here and wants to make more money. Yeah, or be eventually go there and open his this. He has no plan. He comes here and he sees that God is also in this suffering soul. And when I am trying to cure this soul and reduce his suffering, I am actually worshipping God. And by this attitude that he maintains in his mind, he is doing his karma yoga. He is purifying his own self, his selfishness, his impurities in his heart and body, his tamasic and rajasic aspect of personality. He is reducing, and if he is very good at this contemplative mindset, then he will emerge as a saintly person one day. After many, many years of his service, I have seen such swamis in Benares hospital. I have seen such swamis.
We have gone.
Everybody, all the other sadhus and all the other doctors and nurses and all the patients, they used to come there. They would look at that Swami, Beni Madhav Maharaj or somebody, his name. just passed away, as a moving, walking Lord Shiva himself.
Yes.
And they would be always saying that if that Swami will do the bandage, then I will. They wanted his touch.
Yeah.
So, what there is therefore attitude is this. The other doctors and nurses are doing the same thing.
Yes, yes.
So it is not the action, it is the mind
Intention.
behind the action.
Intention and
In
different.
Kankara,
Intentions are different.
Your question, last question.
Yeah. Yesterday I had gone to the Babs and Swami Jnanotsav, and he said, he was talking about faith, so I took a couple of notes I just want to share. He said, faith in God supersedes our thoughts and gives us direction in life. So faith is very important. Then faith stabilizes life in every aspect of life. So if we have faith that there is God, rather than I believe there is God, no, I know there is God, and God's world is definitely better than this human world, then that removes the fear of death, because the death is for the body and not for the soul. And to be merging with God and be free of our birth and death cycle. That's all. That's
Great, very good. Well, what you said reminds me of one this idea. You can think about it, and if you like it, try to maintain it. That religious belief, because the world is full of different people. Somebody believes, somebody says, oh, I don't, and all these things. And in the Sanatana Dharma, they are not bad people. If they say, oh, I don't believe God, or they are not doing religious practices, they are not considered bad people. Simply they said, oh, well, if you don't eat the medicine, then you will not be cured. That is it. You are not bad people. It is your doing. You do whatever. But when people live a very deep-rooted, spiritually motivated life, they have got a strong faith in God or some religious belief, strong and very rooted, and they are not wavering and occasionally wine tasting. That now going here, now going there. It is not that kind of religion, but religion means they have found out something and they like it and they love it and they are doing it for the rest of their life. It is done. It is done. Everybody is fine, everybody is doing good thing, but I am doing this. That kind of thing. Then what happens? This belief and this strength of your mind gets stronger and stronger, and your belief in this particular way of believing in God becomes like an anchor. In this ocean of life, life is like an ocean, and you are like a boat there, a ship. Huh? Sometime in the ocean there will be big waves and storm and something will come. You are crossing Pacific Ocean. One life. Sometime big storm will come and the ship will be like it is about to sink. But if you have got strong faith in God and if you are a religious minded person, then you will just drop your anchors on four corners of your ship and you will pass that storm relatively unharmed. Yeah, a little bit it will keep rocking, but you will not sink. You will pass through this very dark phase and very, very dangerous phase of life. Every life will go through this. Nobody can say that my life will be always smooth sailing. No. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes challenges, sometimes difficulties and problems. But those who have strong faith in one particular path, they have got very powerful and useful anchors. They will, in the time of danger, they will drop those anchors and they will just sit tight and let the night pass.
thing. Just the fact that we have the spiritual practices. If suppose I have made time for my meditation, so that comes from faith also. You know, I am doing this because I believe in. So
Yeah.
what is it? Oh.
Phone call. Some Twitter user is sending a cat. Cat is making funny, jumping up and down. That he has
I always thought it was a
taken.
bird.
Sending, hey,